What's up everybody, Greg here with Lens Pro to Go and Lens Rentals, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the newest camera from Fujifilm, the X-H1. We're going to be going over the build, some of the cool features and things that they've implemented with this camera, and then we're going to take a look at some of the quirks and things to know before you get your hands on one. Right away, the camera feels like a mix and a blend of the X-T2 and the GFX medium format camera. On the top now, instead of having three different dials, one for shutter speed, ISO, and then your exposure compensation, you only have two, which is your shutter speed and ISO. And then the last one, which was your exposure compensation, is now done through the menus, and you have a small LCD screen, which is very reminiscent of the GFX LCD screen on the top. On the back, there is a new touch LCD screen, which you can use for touch to focus, and then they've updated the EVF to be a 3.69 million dot resolution EVF, so you get super crisp and clean images and a good view of what you're shooting. Other than those few tweaks to the body style and the design, not much has changed, and it definitely still feels like a Fujifilm camera. You get those two UHS 2 SD card slots on the side. You have a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor, which is the exact same sensor from the X-T2, and overall the same feel and build of a Fujifilm camera. Where they did a lot of the changes with this camera is with the internals, definitely aiming at their video shooters. So you get your full DCI 4K now instead of just UHD 4K. You have F-Log internally instead of having to send it out through an HDMI. There's a built-in 5-axis in-body stabilization, so you can get super smooth handheld shots without needing to have a stabilized lens. And you also get some better frame rate options for shooting, like 120 frames per second in 1080p HD. To continue on with more video features, they brought over the DR modes from the photo side, so now you have better highlight protection and better dynamic range in your video. So needless to say, Fuji was definitely targeting their video shooters with the release and design of this camera, because there weren't really many updates to the photo side, besides adding a few new film simulations and the update to the EVF. Now let's get onto some of the quirks. To be able to record that awesome DCI 4K internally for longer than 15 minutes at a time, you need to buy the extra battery grip to be able to have the power and to have the heat dissipation that it needs to be able to operate. You also need to get the same grip if you plan on monitoring your audio, because there's no headphone jack directly on the camera. For photos, the focusing felt a little bit less reliable than the X-T2, even though it's the exact same focusing system, same amount of focusing points. It just felt a little bit off and like it was hunting a lot more. But I did try out the face autofocus for a vlogging style shoot, and it was actually pretty solid. And it surprised me how fast it was able to actually react to the movements. It was better than I thought. It's still not on the dual pixel level of like the Canons or the Sonys, but it's getting up there. Continuing to talk about vlogging with this camera, it is really nice, but it doesn't have a flip out screen. So many cameras in this price point are having flip out screens now, so to release a new camera that doesn't have one is kind of a bummer. And the new LCD that they added, which is a touchscreen, is great and has some awesome functionality, but it is a little bit softer than the LCD screen on the X-T2. To be able to fully check your images, you have to punch in. You can't just rely on a quick glance at the back of the LCD screen to see if your images are sharp. And then the last thing, with this camera targeting video shooters so heavily, it should have come out with a 10-bit recording option. Everything that you record as of right now is only in an 8-bit format. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions about the Fuji X-H1, leave them in the comments below. If you guys want to try it out for yourself, I'll throw a link right up here as well as in the description. If you learned anything new about this camera, let everybody else know by hitting that like button, subscribe for new videos every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.